I cheated on my husband. He divorced me, and I thought time would heal things. But now he's married the woman I cheated with him on. My son calls her mom, and he says I'm the one who destroyed his childhood. I, 35F, cheated on my husband, 37M, 3 years ago. And everything since then has been a slow-motion car crash I caused myself. I don't even know what I'm hoping to get out of posting this. Maybe perspective, maybe someone to tell me if there's any way to fix even a small part of what I've broken. We were married for 8 years, together since our early 20s. We met in college, got married young, had our son when I was 25 and he was 27. For most of that time, I would have said we were happy. Not perfect, but stable. He was steady and quiet, the type who worked long hours, paid every bill on time, and never forgot to pick up milk on his way home. Somewhere after our son was born, I started feeling invisible. He went from being my partner to being this exhausted, responsible adult I barely recognized. He'd come home from work, collapse on the couch, and zone out. I'd try to talk about my day or ask for affection, and he'd just nod along, half listening. We stopped going out, stopped touching each other, stopped talking about anything that wasn't bills or school or schedules. I told myself it was just the phase of life we were in. Young kid, busy jobs, exhaustion. But I started resenting him. I felt like I was drowning in monotony while he got to play the martyr. Then, at work, I met someone, a coworker, a few years older than me. He was charming and funny in that effortless way people get when they know how to listen. He'd compliment me when I looked nice, notice when I'd cut my hair, actually ask how my day was. Nothing inappropriate at first, just attention I hadn't felt in years. I told myself it was harmless, just friendship. But it wasn't. It became flirting, and then it became more. I cheated. I crossed the line that I can't ever uncross. I'm not going to dress it up like it was some tragic love story. It wasn't. It was selfish, impulsive, and cruel. And I knew it. Every time I looked at my husband, I felt sick with guilt, but I still kept going. The affair lasted about 4 months before he found out. He found a string of messages on my old laptop. I'll never forget the sound he made when he confronted me. It wasn't shouting. It wasn't even anger at first. It was disbelief, like he was looking at a stranger wearing my face. I tried to explain. I said I'd been lonely, that I felt unseen, that I didn't mean for it to happen. All the pathetic excuses you say when you're caught. He listened silently, then said, "You could have talked to me. You didn't have to destroy us to get my attention." He filed for divorce the next week. No counseling, no trial separation, nothing. He moved into a rental apartment and refused to speak to me except about our son. For the first few weeks, I was in shock. I thought he was just being reactive. I honestly believed he'd calm down eventually, and we'd work through it. We'd been together almost a decade. I thought that meant something stronger than one mistake, but he didn't come back. He was cold, efficient, distant. He hired a lawyer, divided everything evenly, and made it clear he wanted no contact beyond what was necessary for co-parenting. He got primary custody during the week because of his work schedule and stability, and I got weekends. I didn't even fight it. At the time, I still believed this was temporary, that once the dust settled, we'd find our way back to each other. The affair partner ghosted me 2 months after the divorce. He moved overseas for work. I never heard from him again. The reality of what I'd done finally hit me then. I'd destroyed my marriage, my family, and my stability for someone who didn't even stick around. For about a year, things were quiet, painful, but stable. My ex and I only communicated about our son. Exchanges were quick, polite, sterile. I threw myself into being the fun parent on weekends, trips to the park, ice cream, movie nights. I was desperate to prove to my son that I could still be a good mom. Then last year, everything changed again. I found out through my son that his dad was seeing someone. I didn't ask questions. I figured it was bound to happen eventually. But a few months later, my son mentioned her by name, and my stomach dropped. It was her. The woman my affair partner had been married to. I don't know how they met. I assume they connected after both of their marriages imploded, maybe through mutual friends or social media. But they're together now, and it's serious. At first I thought it was just a rebound thing. 2 hurt people clinging to each other out of shared pain. But then, a few weeks ago, my son told me they got married. He said it so casually, like it was just another piece of news. Dad and Sarah got married last weekend. I didn't even know what to say. I congratulated him because what else was I supposed to do? I didn't want him to feel weird about it. but inside, I felt like the ground fell out from under me. It's one thing to lose your husband because of your own actions. It's another to know he rebuilt a better version of your old life with someone tied to the same destruction. And now, my son, our son, calls her mom. Not all the time, but enough that it stings. He says it by accident, sometimes catches himself, but other times it's deliberate. Mom said I could stay up late, or Mom made pancakes. I've corrected him before, gently, but he just shrugs. It's easier, he says. It kills me. I know I have no right to be angry, but it feels like losing him piece by piece. He's closer to them than he is to me. He has a whole new family now, a stable home, a dad who forgave her, and a stepmother who probably gives him everything I can't. He spends the week in their house and only comes to me on weekends, and even then, he seems distant, like he's counting down until Monday. A few weeks ago, he asked me why I cheated. I didn't know how to answer. I told him it was a mistake. He said, "Dad said it's because you were selfish." I said, "That's not fair." He looked at me and said, "It's true though, right?" I didn't have an answer. I keep hoping time will fix things. That maybe one day my son will understand that I didn't stop loving him, even when I was too broken and stupid to love anyone right. But the more time passes, the more it feels like I've been replaced entirely. My ex and his wife seem happy. My son is thriving with them. I should be grateful for that, and part of me is. But another part of me feels like I'm watching someone else live the life I threw away. I know I did this. I know I don't get to play the victim. But it hurts every single day to see the consequences of what I destroyed reflected back at me through my son's eyes. I thought time would heal things. It hasn't. If anything, time just made it permanent. I don't even know what I'm asking for. Maybe I just needed to write it down and face the truth. I broke my family and they rebuilt one without me. Here's update 1. Expanded in full, 1,000 plus words. Continuing directly from the original post. Raw, realistic, and grounded in emotional fallout rather than melodrama. Update 1. It's been almost a year since I wrote my original post, and things have changed, though not in the ways I hoped. When I first wrote here, I thought maybe time and effort could fix things between me and my son. I thought if I kept showing up, being patient, and making his visits with me fun and positive, I'd slowly earn my way back into his heart. That's what every article and every therapist told me. Consistency rebuilds trust. So I did that. I didn't miss a single weekend, not one. I showed up for every pickup, every drop-off. I never canceled plans, even when I was sick or tired or working long hours. I tried so hard to be stable and calm. It didn't matter. My son is 10 now, and this past year, the distance between us has grown into a canyon. He doesn't yell or act out. He's just withdrawn, quiet. He's polite but distant, like I'm a teacher or a babysitter instead of his mother. When he talks about life at his dad's house, it's like he's describing another planet. They go camping. They cook dinner together. He and his stepmom, yes, the same woman I cheated with her husband on, do art projects, bake cookies, and apparently she helps him with homework every night. He calls her mom now without hesitation. The first few times I heard it, it felt like being stabbed. Now, it's just a dull ache I've learned to live with. He once corrected himself after saying it in front of me, and I told him it was okay, that I wasn't mad. I smiled when I said it, but it came out brittle. He looked guilty, like he'd done something wrong. That broke me more than the word itself. I've tried therapy, both individual and family sessions. The therapist keeps saying I need to focus on repair, not replacement, that I can't erase what I did, but I can show him through actions that I'm reliable, safe, and accountable. That sounded logical in theory. But in practice, it feels like trying to hug smoke. A few months ago, my ex and his wife announced they're expecting a baby. My son told me during one of our weekend visits. He was glowing, excited. He said, "I'm going to be a big brother." I told him that was wonderful. I hugged him, told him how proud I was of him, how lucky his sibling will be. And I meant it, mostly. But inside, something cracked. Because the way he said "our baby" made me realize that he doesn't see me as part of that world at all. He has a family, and I'm not in it. A few weeks later, I made the mistake of asking him to spend an extra day with me. I wanted to take him to the zoo on Sunday and drop him off Monday morning before school. He immediately said he had to check with Mom. He didn't mean me. That night, he texted that he couldn't. Mom said we have a family thing. I stared at that message for a long time. It was like the air left the room. I didn't respond right away. I wanted to, but I didn't trust what might come out. When I picked him up the next weekend, he was quiet the whole car ride. I asked if something was wrong. He shrugged and said, "Dad said you were mad I couldn't go to the zoo." I told him I wasn't mad. I was disappointed because I missed him, but not mad. He didn't believe me. I could tell. We were sitting at a red light when he said, "You always get mad when you don't get what you want." That hit hard. I asked him why he thought that. He said, "That's why you cheated on Dad, right?" I almost drove through the light. My throat closed up. I pulled over and tried to stay calm, but I could feel tears building. I told him adults make mistakes, and I made a terrible one that hurt everyone, and I'm still sorry for it every day. He stared out the window and said, "You ruined everything." I didn't know what to say. I just whispered, "I know." He didn't speak for the rest of the drive. That night, when I dropped him off, I tried to hug him. He pulled away. My ex opened the door and just looked at me. That same look of quiet anger I've seen 100 times. I said, "He's upset." "Maybe we should talk?" My ex said, "He's upset because you keep trying to rewrite what happened." I told him that wasn't fair. He said, "No, what wasn't fair was you blowing up our marriage and expecting me to help you clean up the mess afterward. You gotta move on from your mistake." I had to hold our son while he cried himself to sleep for a year. I couldn't even defend myself. Because he was right. We stood there for a long time saying nothing. Then he said, "Stop trying to compete with her. She's not your enemy. You are." And he shut the door. That line has been stuck in my head ever since. I realized that night that I've spent the last 3 years trying to rebuild a picture of my life instead of actually facing what I did to it. I've been performing motherhood, scheduling activities, forcing smiles, overcompensating, because I wanted to feel like I still had some control. But my son doesn't need a performance. He needs something I broke a long time ago: trust. And trust doesn't come from guilt or gifts or fun weekends. It comes from safety, from showing up without asking for anything back. So that's what I'm doing now. I stopped trying to win him over. I don't push affection. I don't correct him when he calls her mom. I just focus on being present, making sure his weekends here are calm and predictable. If he wants to talk, I listen. If he doesn't, I don't force it. I still text him goodnight every day, even on the days he doesn't reply. Sometimes he sends a thumbs up, sometimes nothing, but it's okay. I'm learning that okay can look like a lot of different things. I won't pretend this doesn't hurt. Every single thing about this situation hurts. But I'm starting to understand that healing doesn't mean getting back what I lost. It means learning to live without expecting it. My therapist says kids remember actions more than apologies. So I'm focusing on the actions. Stability, honesty, patience. That's all I can give him now. And maybe one day that'll be enough. Update 2. Final update. It's been 2 years since my last update. Reading back on what I wrote feels like listening to a version of myself who was still flailing, still fighting against reality. I'm not in that place anymore. My life looks smaller now, but steadier. I'm single, I work full-time at a local design firm, and I rent a small apartment not far from my son's school. It's quiet, clean, and mine. I used to hate the silence, but now I think of it as peace. My son is 12. He's taller, louder, full of that early teen energy, where he alternates between sweetness and sarcasm. We talk more easily now. It's not the way it used to be, but it's something real. We cook together, we play video games, we take long drives. Sometimes he opens up, tells me about school or friends or his little brother. Yes, the baby his dad and his wife had last year. He still calls her mom. I don't correct him anymore. I used to flinch every time I heard it. It felt like a wound reopening over and over, but now I see it differently. That word isn't a betrayal. It's a sign that he feels loved and safe in her home. That's what every child deserves. If she's giving him that, I can live with it. Last year, the stepmother, I'll call her Sarah, reached out to me for the first time. It was a short, careful message. "Hi. I know this might be awkward, but I wanted to tell you that your son is doing great. He loves you, and I want you to know I'm not trying to replace you. I'm just trying to make sure he's okay." For a long time, I stared at that message. I didn't know how to respond. I must have typed 10 different replies before deleting them all. Everything sounded defensive or hollow. Eventually, I just wrote back, "Thank you for taking care of him." A few weeks later, she suggested we meet for coffee. I didn't want to at first. Part of me was scared. part of me ashamed. But curiosity won. I met her at a cafe near the school, the same one my son loves because they sell giant cookies. It was tense at first. Neither of us knew how to start. Here we were, two women tied together by the ugliest possible circumstances, sitting face to face for the first time. She broke the silence. She said, "I don't hate you." I did for a while. But we both got dragged through the same wreckage, and I think we've both spent enough time bleeding from it. I didn't know what to say. I think I just nodded. She told me that when she and my ex first got together, it wasn't planned. They reconnected through a support group for people navigating divorce and infidelity. She said they didn't even start dating until a year later. She said something that stuck with me. We both lost everything because of the same two people. Somehow we ended up rebuilding together. It was hard to hear, but it wasn't cruel. It was honest. We talked about my son, how he was doing, what he liked, what he struggled with. She knew his habits better than I did, and that used to sting, but now I was just grateful someone did. She told me he sometimes gets quiet when I drop him off, like he's worried about hurting me. She said, "He loves you. You know that, right?" I said, "I hope so." She shook her head and said, "No, he does. He's just scared of hurting you again." That conversation changed something in me. For the first time, I didn't feel like she was the enemy. I saw her as another person trying to keep a child safe from the fallout of choices neither of them made. We were standing on opposite ends of the same bridge, trying to hold it up from collapsing. We've met for coffee a few more times since then. It's still awkward sometimes, but civil. She sends me updates when my son has something big going on. A test, a game, something he's proud of. I thank her every time. As for my ex, things are polite, but nothing more. We only talk about logistics now. Drop-offs, school events, medical stuff. He keeps his tone professional, his face unreadable. I used to hate that wall between us, but I understand it now. He owes me nothing more than civility, and honestly, I'm grateful he even gives me that. He still resents me, that much is clear, and I can't blame him. For years I told myself I wanted forgiveness, but what I really wanted was comfort. I wanted him to stop being angry so I could stop feeling guilty. Now I know that's not how it works. I see his pain differently now. It wasn't just about betrayal. It was about being forced to hold our son's grief alone while I was still busy trying to justify my choices. He didn't just lose a wife. He had to pick up the pieces of a child who didn't understand why everything he knew suddenly fell apart. Sometimes I still dream about the life I blew up. In those dreams, we're sitting on the couch with our son between us, watching some stupid cartoon. He's laughing, and I reach for my husband's hand, and he doesn't pull away. Then I wake up, and it's gone. But now, instead of crying, I just get up and start my day. I make coffee, pack my lunch, and go to work. I've learned that surviving isn't about getting back what you lost. It's about learning to live in the space that loss left behind. My son hugs me now when he leaves. Not every time, but often. Sometimes he lingers a little, or he'll say, "Love you, Mom," in that half-muttered way preteens do when they're embarrassed. I don't push for more. That's enough. I know I'll never be the center of his world again. I don't need to be. I just need to be a safe place he knows will always be there. I still see regret in my ex's eyes sometimes during drop-offs. Not the kind that wants reconciliation, but the quiet, heavy kind that lingers between two people who shared something that died. He once said, "At least he's okay." It wasn't directed at me, but it felt like closure. I've stopped asking for forgiveness. It's not mine to demand. What matters now is honesty. Not the kind that rewrites the past, but the kind that faces it without excuses. I built my own exile. I'll live the rest of my life in it. But at least now, I understand the walls. I understand the damage, and I'm not running from it anymore. When my son hugs me before leaving my apartment, I hold him tight. Not out of guilt or fear, but gratitude. Because after everything, I still get to love him. That's more than I deserve, and it's enough.